Hello and welcome back to Bicyclelegs and another edition of Anniversary Albums. Today we're going to be looking at albums that are having a significant anniversary in the month of September 2023. For those of you new to this series, when I say a significant anniversary, I'm talking about one that ends in a 5 or a 0. So 35th, 50th, 25th, 40th, that sort of thing. You'll get the gist as we go along. As always, I've picked 10 albums to talk about. I had a much bigger list than that, so please do let me know in the comments which ones I've missed. And we're going to start off with an album that's having its 45th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 5th of September 1978, and that is Blue Valentine by Tom Waits. Marvelous album. I don't own enough Tom Waits, I really don't, because a lot of his records are quite expensive to collect. So this is a great album. I don't know if it's quite my favourite Tom Waits album, that's probably Rain Dogs, but still, this one is wonderful. You've got his version of Somewhere from West Side Story. You've got Red Shoes in the Drugstore. I had a habit for many years of making a Christmas compilation for my friends and family to give as a Christmas card. And one of the songs I picked was Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis, because I love sort of inappropriate Christmas songs as well. I mean, Romeo is Bleeding is great, Wrong Side of the Road, A Sweet Little Bullet from a Pretty Blue Gun, Blue Valentines. There's just so many great songs on this album. I know Tom Waits' vocals can be a little bit sort of Vegemite, as it were, to use an Australian expression. Like, some people love it, some people don't. I think it's well worth getting into because he's a brilliant, brilliant songwriter. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 50th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 7th of September 1973, and that is Over-Nite Sensation by Frank Zappa and the Mothers. I've done a top 10 Frank Zappa studio album, well, studio albums ranked, because his albums always tend to be a mix of studio and live stuff. Go and give that a look. I'll leave a link in the description. This made my top 10 because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful Frank Zappa album. And you got Camarillo Brillo, I'm the Slime, I love I'm the Slime, Dirty Love is Fun, 50-50, Zombie Wolf. Just such a fun song. I really, really love that. But it's not just that these songs are fun and like he does sort of lean on the comedy for the lyrics, but there's some really, really good sort of jazz fusion playing on this album. Just absolutely brilliant. The band he had in sort of 73, 74, 75, I think was just about unbeatable. You got Dynamo Hum, and then you got the absolutely wonderful Montana with his Dental Floss Farmer. Just a wonderful album. A top 10 Frank Zappa album for me for a reason. Just a great album. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 45th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 8th of September 1978, and that is Systems of Romance by Ultravox. This was their third album. It was their last album with John Foxx as lead singer. They had dropped the exclamation mark on the Ultravox by this stage. This is probably my favourite Ultravox album of the John Foxx era, and it's probably a top 2 or 3 all-time Ultravox album of any era. So, just a fabulous album. Slow motion, great way to kick off an album. I Can't Stay Long, Someone Else's Clothes, Quiet Men. Oh, I love that song, it's so good. Dislocation, Maximum Acceleration, When You Walk Through Me. There's so many good tracks on this album. It would kind of point the way both for where Ultravox would go with Midure, but also where John Foxx would go with his solo career. So, an absolutely wonderful album, and as I say, very, very top tier Ultravox of any era as far as I'm concerned. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 40th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 12th of September 1983. It's a bit of a controversial album in this band's catalogue, but I really like it. And that is Born Again by Black Sabbath. The one and only album with Deep Purple's Ian Gillan on lead vocals. And then you've got like classic lineup apart from that with Black Sabbath. You've got Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler and Bill Ward. Just a wonderful album. I think it's a lot of fun, this album. It's a different Sabbath album, but it's heavy. It rocks really hard. It's got some great stuff on it. I remember watching the film clip for Trashed over and over again with my little sister when we were teenagers. You've got Stonehenge, the sort of instrumental. You've got Disturbing the Priest, The Dark, Zero the Hero. You've got Digital Bitch. You've got the title track. Keep It Warm. It's a great album. I think it's a lot of fun. It's different from what's in the rest of the Sabbath catalogue, but I think it's a really, really good album. I think it's a lot of fun. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 25th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released in Japan on the 18th of September 1998 and in the UK on the 21st of September 1998. And that is Radiation by Marillion. Now this late 90s Marillion period, using sort of This Strange Engine, Radiation, Marillion.com, these albums get a little bit of short shrift from the fans, I think, and that's a bit unfair. Are they top tier Marillion albums? Maybe not, but I think this is a really, really good album. I think there's a lot of good music on here. I mean, it starts off with the Costa del Slow. Under the Sun, I think, is great. 3 Minute Boy, really, really good little song. Now She'll Never Know is beautiful. These Chains is also achingly gorgeous. But then towards the end of the album, you get a couple of really great sort of mini epic tracks. Cathedral Wall, which I think is absolutely gorgeous, like really eerie. And A Few Words for the Dead. Just incredible stuff. The way that song builds and builds and builds until it gets to the All You Could Love section and then just sort of explodes out. I think this album's underrated in the Marillion catalogue. I really, really do. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 35th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 20th of September 1988. And that is Workers' Playtime by Billy Bragg. This is the album that came out after my favourite Billy Bragg album, which is Talking with the Taxman About Poetry. I did a favourite albums of all time show on Talking with the Taxman About Poetry. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Please do check it out. This album is almost as good as Talking with the Taxman About Poetry. I really think it is. I mean, She's Got a New Spell, you've got Must I Paint a Picture, Tender Comrade, Little Time Bomb, The Price I Pay, Rotting on Remand. Wonderful political song about, people just being stuck in jail without having even been convicted of anything. They're just on remand, they haven't been given bail, and they're stuck in jail. You've got Valentine's Day Is Over, you've got Life with the Lions. I mean, the big song off this album was Waiting for the Great Leap Forward, which, great song. He's starting to get a little more full band sound on this than he was on the first few albums. He would continue in that direction. But I think it's still a wonderful, wonderful album. Produced by the legendary Joe Boyd. Yeah, it's a great album. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 50th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 21st of September 1973, and that is In a Glass House by Gentle Giant. This is almost my favourite Gentle Giant album. It's always a toss-up between this one and the next one, which is The Power and the Glory. Ask me, I mean, when I did my studio albums ranked on Gentle Giant, which I'll leave a link in the description for, I picked Power and the Glory as my favourite, but this was number 2. It could easily switch depending on which day you ask me. This is an absolutely incredible album. 6 tracks on it, and every one of them is just absolutely wonderful. You've got The Runaway, wonderful complex song. You've got Inmate's Lullaby, which is just one of the most tender and dark songs that they ever did. Wonderful song. Way of Life is a very typical Gentle Giant song, really great, tumbling. And then you've got Experience, a Reunion, and the title track In a Glass House on side 2. It's just, there's no duff tracks on this album. Every one of them, to me, is a Gentle Giant classic. And if you're into Gentle Giant, this is, you know, got to be in the top half of your ranking, I think, without a doubt. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 40th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 22nd of September 1983, and that is Lick It Up by Kiss. Obviously this was, you know, famous for being the album where they took the makeup off. I mean, it's a very plain cover, isn't it? Like, for a Kiss album. It's just a white background and the 4 of them there. But this is a wonderful Kiss album. It's probably my second favourite Kiss album, in fact, after Creatures of the Night. I really feel like those Vinnie Vincent albums, you know, I really, really love them. I mean, this has got Exciter, great opening track, wonderful opening track. You know, you've got Not for the Innocent, you've got the title track, Lick It Up. Great, great single for them, I think. Absolutely love it. Young and Wasted, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Absolutely love that. And it's got that real sort of, the film clip. That and Lick It Up, they both have sort of a similar film clip where they're in this sort of like apocalyptic hellscape. It's quite fun. You got A Million to One, Fits Like a Glove, the hilariously titled Dance All Over Your Face, and then you've got On the Eighth Day. I think both Gene and Paul are in fine form on this album. Vinnie Vincent, you know, plays a lot of great guitar, also is, you know, co-writer on most of these tracks. This is a wonderful album. I think it's definitely right high up there in the Kiss catalogue for me. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 45th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 22nd of September 1978. It's an album that I've done an In Defense Of video on, so I will leave a link for that in the description as well. And that is Tormato by Yes. An album that, again, I think is unfairly sort of pilloried by the fans. It's not the best Yes album in the world. I'm not going to argue that. I don't think that's accurate. But I do think it's a good, worthwhile Yes album. And I think there's some absolutely stunning tracks on here. Like Future Times and Rejoice, they sort of run into each other. I really like those tracks. Don't Kill the Whale is wonderful. Madrigal is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Release, great, really high energetic Yes tracks. So that's side 1. All of side 1 is killer, as far as I'm concerned. There's a couple of tracks on side 2 I'm not so keen on, like Arriving UFO and Circus of Heaven. But then you've got Onward, which is just a beautiful, beautiful Chris Squire song. And then On the Silent Wings of Freedom. Just a great song. Yeah, I think this album definitely gets a bad rap. Go and watch my In Defense Of, and I go into more detail about why I think this album gets a bad rap and should be reappraised. And the last album we're going to have a look at today is having its 35th anniversary in the month of September. It was originally released on the 25th of September 1988. It's the second album by this band, and that is Lincoln by They Might Be Giants. I mean, They Might Be Giants, ask me on the right day, and they're my favourite band in the world. They're certainly one of the most wonderful bands to follow as a fan, because they just interact with the fans online and in concerts so much. It's great. This album, coming off the back of the debut, which sort of announced them to the world, this album sort of follows in the footsteps of that debut, but then goes a little further. I mean, it starts off with the absolutely classic Anna Eng. You got Cowtown, Lie Still Little Bottle, Purple Toupee was a great single. You got Cajun Aquarium, that's like one of their sort of odder tracks, which I really like. Where Your Eyes Don't Go, Piece of Dirt, Mr. Me's one of their great up-tempo tracks, really love it. The Pencil Rain, The World's Address. I mean, all of these songs, I've got a match. Santa's Beard. Again, Santa's Beard is one that I've included on one of my Christmas compilations that I've given to family and friends. You know, Stand on Your Own Head, Snowball in Hell, and then Kiss Me, Son of God is a top 10 They Might Be Giants song for me, no doubt. So there you have it. Those are my 10 anniversary albums for the month of September 2023. Please let me know in the comments which ones of these you like, which ones maybe you don't care for so much. Please also do let me know which ones I missed that you think I should have included. Because sometimes they're albums that were on my larger list that I chose to leave out for whatever reason. But sometimes you guys come up with albums that I didn't even think of. And I absolutely love it when you do, even though I sort of kick myself. Because it makes me go and pull those albums out and give them a listen. So yeah, please let me know in the comments any of your anniversary albums for September of 2023. Please do like, share and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. If you're new to the channel, please go and have a look at some of my other videos. Everything's playlisted, so if you want to have a look at, for example, some of my other anniversary album show, there's a playlist for that. If you want to look at some of my studio albums ranked shows, there's a playlist for that. If you want to look at my Bicyclelegs Discovers Rush series, there's a playlist for that. And if you want to see my appearances on other people's channels, I also have a playlist for that. So please go and check that out. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Bicyclelegs on Instagram and Twitter. And I now have a dedicated Bicyclelegs Facebook page. Links are all in the description. Please come and give those all a follow and join in the conversation. I'd really love to have you there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.